Welcome into NFL Daily, presented today by Aura. Take advantage of their free trial of their online safety tool. Cancel at any time at aura.com/chatsports. That link, of course, will be in the comments section and in the description of today's video. We've got some rather interesting NFL trade rumors out there around some quarterbacks, some giant skill players, since they are, of course, sellers at the moment. But it's also Father's Day. So show your dad some love by typing dad in the comments section. Appreciate my dad, and I am also a dad now myself, so my first Father's Day, actually. And maybe if you're just a daddy, in the words of producer Jeremy, which you are not, my friend. But type dad in the comments section to show your father some love. Let's get to Baker Mayfield now. The report from Albert Breer is that the Browns are willing to eat a lot of Baker's contract to help a trade happen, but not quite all of it. And the number one reason why Baker is still on the Browns, I should say, is that contract. $18.86 million is a lot of money, and it is a problem for any team trying to acquire him. Right now, the Browns, Baker, and the NFL are kind of in a staring contest of how much are you going to eat? Okay, well, are you going to cut him? How much will you eat? That's that back and forth right now with Baker stuck waiting to find a new team, and I also don't think that the contract given to Deshaun Watson is helping the Browns trade Baker. That upset some owners. Here's what Albert Breer told the Rich Eisen show. Cleveland's been willing to take on a fair amount of Baker's salary, like $9 to $10 million. For people out there who think Cleveland's holding on to Baker as Deshaun insurance, they wouldn't be offering to take on a pretty significant portion of the guy's salary if they were looking to hold on to him until there's more clarity in the Deshaun Watson case, which is right. I've never bought that theory. Albert also said this: if there was a good deal out for Baker for the Panthers, he might already be a Panther. If they were in a spot we had to pay him $4 or $5 million, then I think there's a decent chance that Baker would be in Carolina now, and Cleveland would have a draft pick for him. The Browns and Baker and Carolina have been linked very heavily so far. Clearly, the Browns think that they can get a little bit more from Panthers, either in money saved or in draft capital. So our first question: what is the most that you would pay Baker Mayfield if you were acquiring him via trade? How much of his $18.86 million salary would you pay? Let me know in the comments section. The Browns right now think that they have the leverage, that they can wait, and eventually a team, whether it's Seattle or maybe Carolina, comes back and says, okay, fine, we'll do it your way. Maybe around training camp. And for Carolina, I get why the Browns think they have the leverage. Sam Darnold is Sam Darnold. That is not a good thing. Matt Corral's got some talent, but he's not ready yet. Baker would instantly be the best quarterback on this team's roster, I would argue by a pretty good margin. Even in a down year in 2021, Baker was still better than Darnold was last year, and Baker looked like a shell of himself, and it was a terrible season. 2020, back end of the year in particular, he legitimately looked like a top 10 QB. I think the Panthers make a ton of sense for Baker as a potential trade destination. But will they be the ones who land him? Make your predictions for me at the pinned comments of today's video. So if the ad break comes here on YouTube, well, head down to the pinned comment for me. Type Y for yes or N for no. From one AFC North QB to the other, Lamar Jackson. He says he wants to be a Raven, thinks he'll get a deal done. Team wants to work out a new deal. Despite that, there's been next to no progress between Lamar and the Ravens. And even a report from ESPN saying the team was hopeful to make some progress as Lamar is finally in the building and they can talk to him. That's unusual from that standpoint. Now, ESPN to look at a bunch of different scenarios, including a potential trade one. Now, I don't think it happens, but let's break down what ESPN reported. Quote, let's be clear. This is not an option the team has even hinted about. Ravens officials have repeatedly talked about how Jackson is their quarterback for the future. But there would be a decision to make if Baltimore puts the franchise tag on Jackson next year, which would start the 2-year clock before he reaches free agency. It's difficult to believe the Ravens would watch Jackson sign elsewhere in 2025 and be content with getting a third-round comp pick in return. Now, here is how the contracts could work out for Lamar. 2022, he is owed his $23.02 million fifth-year option. Not a terrible cap hit, but a bit higher than I think you'd want. 2023 franchise tag is projected 31.5. It then becomes 120% of the previous year in tag number 2, 37.8. A potential 2025 tag is 144% of the previous year. That balloons all of a sudden to 54.43. That is an awful lot of money to pay a quarterback with no flexibility in how you manage the cap hit. And Lamar is staring down the barrel of $43 million or more. That's what Josh Allen got, and Deshaun Watson got $46 million with a less impressive resume than Lamar. What has Deshaun done that Lamar hasn't done in the NFL? The answer is nothing, really. So it's weird to be waiting for what's Lamar going to do? Does he want out? Does he want an instant deal with no negotiation? It's unclear what he actually wants from the Ravens. In the end, I do think he stays in Baltimore. So what do you think? Where does Lamar sign, whether it's this offseason, next year, 2 years, 3 years? Where does he sign that big-time extension? Type in R for the Ravens, or type in O for a different team signs him all together. Today's show is powered by Aura. They offer financial fraud protection, identity theft protection, and online and device security for you and up to 5 members of your family. If you're like most people, you do everything online. All your passwords are on your phone. I got the little the fingerprint identification for my passwords. But that does make things a bit more prone to being hacked. So use Aura and their free 14-day trial. Give it a shot, see how you like it. Cancel if you don't like it or don't think it's adding anything. Free 14-day trial. Keep your information safe at aura.com/chatsports. That link will be in both the comments section and in the description. So Bleacher Report went through and did one trade for each NFL team, and there were a couple interesting ones I wanted to discuss, beginning with this one for the Kansas City Chiefs on Saquon Barkley. Now, Bleacher Report loves trading away Saquon, which I get. The Giants are rebuilding. I don't know if Saquon's going to be a long-term piece, and he has a $7.22 million contract in 2022. The trade idea is pretty interesting. The Giants get Clyde Edwards-Helaire and a 4th-round pick. The Chiefs then get Saquon, and I actually think that's a pretty good deal for the Giants. You get a decent-ish draft pick back, and you give a year or two to see if Edwards-Helaire can be your guy. I think that actually is a pretty good idea for the Giants. Chiefs can afford it, by the way, because they've got plenty of cap space right now. So who says no in this trade? Type in C for the Chiefs decline, they pass, or type in G for the Giants. They decide they don't want to go out and move on from Saquon quite that early. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Saquon's last 2 years, not good. Injuries are a problem. Even 2019, though, the 4.6 yards per carry, not bad, not elite, not what the team was hoping for out of their second-round pick or second overall pick. They needed 2018 production every year. Haven't got it since. The Giants would need a back in exchange because you don't want to start Matt Breida and Gary Brightwell and Deshaun Corbin and Antonio Williams. That's not going to work. So getting back Edwards-Helaire does make sense for New York. For KC, you'd feel better about the committee rotation of CEH, Ronald Jones, and Jerick McKinnon. Barkley becomes the number 1 guy, and you gambled a 4th-round pick and some money if it ends up not working out for you if you go about trading for Saquon Barkley. If there are more NFL trades in what's been a pretty wacky NFL offseason so far, we've got you guys covered. We are approaching 309,000 subscribers. Yeah, that's awesome. And we'll have a lot more with the NBA draft around the corner, which we'll be live for, by the way. So if you haven't already, hit that big red button and subscribe. Kenny Golladay is the next trade candidate from Bleacher Report. They actually explored several trades, which were all pretty similar. I get it from the Giants' perspective. They saved $13.25 million with a trade, which is about $13 million more than they would save if they had to cut him. Golladay, hyped as a number 1 receiver, would be expensive. About $50 million over 3 years with nothing guaranteed if a team trades for him. I will make note there's a 4.5-ish roster bonus that allegedly was already paid out, but the new team might have to give him that, so that's a bit murky because those are always tricky to actually know what the rules are for any particular player. 2 trade ideas from Bleacher Report. The Bears get Kenny Golladay for a 6th-round pick. The Giants get Nick Boyle and a 6th-round pick in exchange for one Kenny Golladay, which is interesting because both teams are in the market for wide receiver help. Both teams are not in the best of shape. We'll break down the pros and cons for the Ravens and Bears side, but first, name a player who you think ends up getting traded this year. Drop that name. Keep it realistic. Mahomes ain't going anywhere in the comments section right now. Here's the con about trading for Golladay. Bad for 2 years in a row. 2018, 2019, great production, 1,000 yards. You love to see it. Injured in 2020, and somehow Golladay, kind of in the same way Christian Kirk got the bag, surprisingly, he got the bag from the Giants, and he did nothing last year. 521 yards on 76 targets, 0 touchdowns. The Giants, meanwhile, have receivers. They redid Sterling Shepard's deal. They have Kadarius Toney, Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson. Honestly, decent depth with guys like Colin Johnson, Richie James, Keelan Doss even, Darius Stills, preseason legend. So the Giants trading a receiver does make sense. The Ravens, I like the least of these two. You could put Bateman and Golladay on the outside, I guess. I feel like Golladay and Bateman's skill sets are a little bit too overlapping for me. Maybe Golladay can be your pure X and Bateman can line up opposite him on the outside. The Ravens don't have that much cap space, and that makes it tricky from the Golladay perspective, since remember, they want to pay Lamar in the near future. The Bears, meanwhile, I actually like this fit a decent amount because Darnell Mooney is not a 1. He's a 1B at best. But you put Golladay and Mooney, you feel better about that group. You still got Byron Pringle. You can let Velus Jones be a piece in theory. But the rest of that depth chart, it's the cast sauce of the Chiefs in Pringle. EQ St. Brown of the Packers. Daz Newsome is probably not going to be a piece. David Moore, Tajay Sharp, Dante Pettis. It's like the Bears added up the brief fantasy hype train receivers. Like, this is our core, and it's just not going to work. So of the two, I like the Bears as a better fit for Golladay than I do the Ravens.